Hi, so I think I'm live now. Again, I'm using my quiet voice because my baby is sleeping right next door, but my husband should be home really soon. So today we're going to talk
Hi,
about.
so I think I'm
Just
live
noticed
now.
my phone
Again, I'm using my
excuse that. That's my phone. I have my phone here with it so I can try and see the comments because I'm using a different um, thing today. It's called Be Live TV. So we'll see how it works out. It means that I can share some slides with you. So I'm kind of excited about that. So as you come on, just say hi and let me know you're watching. Um, Hi Emma, I can see you watching now. How are you? So I'm going to be reading my comments from my phone, so you're going to see me looking down a bit. And today we're just talking about anxiety in childhood. And I'm not a child psychologist, so I can't say I'm an expert on the topic, but I just want to talk to you about what kind of things parents can do for their kids in the home just to make it just that little bit easier if they're suffering from anxiety. My own son suffers from anxiety for well, it's about a year and a half since when we've kind of noticed it coming on. But as I started to look into the symptoms and everything about it and read more about it and get to know more about it, I kind of realized that probably he's been suffering from anxiety his whole life. And I noticed that definitely I had anxiety as a child, which also was like undiagnosed and unrecognized. So just kind of being aware of that and becoming more aware of all the different symptoms kind of helped me to decide how I wanted to deal with it in my home. And these are the things that I've put into place with Kevin and even with myself now as an adult too, practicing these things. So first of all, I'm going to try and share these slides with you. So let me know if you can see this. Let me see. Okay, so hi, Emma. So let me know whenever you can see that first screen coming up, which is our slides. And okay, I can see it here on my phone anyway. So this is a picture of me when I was 6 and a picture of Kevin around the time that he was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes and the kind of the onset of this anxiety began to be recognized. As I said, the symptoms seem to have been part of his life long before that too. I just wasn't aware of them. So around similar ages, but I think that I was feeling anxiety from even younger than this age too. But I have a lot of memories from around 6 to about 9, which would be the strongest, when I was definitely suffering a lot of anxiety and a lot of fears that were just generally, kind of logically explained and told, I was kind of told, oh, don't worry about that, or don't think that that's not true. And obviously that was always coming from such a good place because my parents were trying to show me logically that there was nothing to worry about. But because there was a real fear inside me and I was still feeling that fear, even though they were telling me that there was nothing to be afraid of, that almost increased the anxiety because it was like, but if there's nothing to be afraid of, why do I feel like this and what's wrong with me? So it made it harder not having that kind of understanding ear. So hopefully going through, thanks Rena, hi. Hopefully going through these the different symptoms with you now, if your child is suffering from anxiety or you recognize any of the symptoms, it'll just give you a bit of understanding about how you as a parent can step in and help them. So we're just going to talk a bit about the common symptoms and the kind of things that most people would expect to see from children who suffer from anxiety. And also these were things that I would have been aware of, but yet didn't see in my son and didn't connect as being anxiety. So generally we think excessive anxiety and worry, an inability to control fear or worry, fatigue, poor concentration. That was one that we noticed, but we had linked to type 1 diabetes and thought because we had lowered carbs in his diet that maybe that was preventing him from being able to concentrate in the way he used to, because he was always very, very clever, very good at school, and suddenly he was finding it more difficult to concentrate at school. Irritability, sleep disruption was another one that Kevin had, and also I didn't connect that at all to anxiety because I wasn't seeing the constant worry or anything like that from him, but just he had difficulty sleeping, was waking up in the night, and poor concentration, and also restlessness and muscle tension. So this picture of this little boy, I chose this picture as the backdrop on that slide because I think that's the kind of image that we expect to see from a child who's suffering from anxiety. And a lot of the time it doesn't look like that. So usually you might expect to see your child clinging to their mother, maybe like showing signs of separation anxiety and that kind of a behavior, or even just that worried expression on their face where they find it easy to actually talk about what's bothering them and actually say, oh, I'm worried about this or I'm frightened of that. And a lot of the time, kids might not even be aware of what they're frightened of. It's just this horrible, uncomfortable feeling. The less common symptoms are aggressive outbursts, tummy aches, headaches, temper tantrums, school refusal, and hallucinations, believe it or not. And so it was tummy aches and headaches were the things that actually alerted us really to Kevin's anxiety. And I had originally, he was having stomach aches and headaches, and I thought this was definitely a symptom, a physical symptom, and some kind of a side effect of type 1 diabetes. And because I was worried about that, I brought him to his nurse, who is a diabetic nurse, and she straight away said, oh, you know, this sounds more like anxiety. So because the reason as well is with type 1 diabetes, sometimes when your bloods run high, that can lead to tummy aches. But there was no sign of his bloods being high. His bloods were very well in control. So she was saying she didn't think it was a physical issue, but was more likely to be anxiety. And then, like I said, I went away and looked more into it and realized, wow, this sounds very much like what's going on for him. And also what had been going on for me in my own childhood. Aggressive outbursts, again, like I say, Kevin didn't show any signs of this, but I do have memories of my own childhood of simple things like my hair not being tied up properly and being ready to pull my own hair out, or I have a really vivid memory of one time being minded by my two older sisters in the house, and I can't even remember what went wrong, but I remember banging on the door. They closed me in the room on my door, and I was banging on the door to get out. So really just this complete outburst, this kind of out of control feeling, where it's very difficult to express that discomfort that you're feeling inside your body, but it's there nonetheless, and it has to come out somehow. And the other reason I just want to point out here as well is I was talking to Elena, or maybe her name's pronounced Elena, sorry, I'm not sure, on the comment section under the aggressive behavior video that I made there the other day. And she was just talking about her little girl who is suffering from anxiety. And also she was talking about how her child is having these aggressive outbursts and was asking how to deal with those aggressive outbursts. And part of what she was doing is she will say the usual kind of discipline techniques of, I won't allow you to hurt me, and then she'll try and walk away, but her little one was following her. And so that was a real sign that she didn't really need the space in those moments, but more likely needed that connection and the reassurance, because those aggressive outbursts were coming from a place of anxiety as opposed to just, you know, misbehavior or actually wanting to hurt somebody. So like I was saying in that last video, a lot of the time it's a sign of more connection needed, not less. So, and then this is where, so these are just my own parent coaching observations and things that I can put out there. Like I said, I'm not a child psychologist. So just from the parent's point of view. So a child who appears oppositional may be reacting to feelings of anxiety that he cannot articulate. A lot of the time, this is like what I was saying just a moment ago, parents might see these kind of outbursts, this kind of screaming, aggressive behavior as a child out of control, a child who needs a lot of disciplinary measures taken. But it can also just be a sign that they're struggling with something inside. I mean, always, if your child is having some kind of negative behavior or is displaying some sort of misbehavior, it's always a sign of what's going on inside. So it's always a sign that there's some sort of discomfort or there's something not right and that they need your help with. And one of those things could be anxiety. So you just look for the other symptoms in that. And I made a special slide especially for this one too, because if you see frequent tummy aches and headaches in your kid, absolutely bring them to the GP. I was caught for a long time going, oh, he just needs a little bit of tender loving care, because what I was seeing was he was being sent home from school with a tummy ache or a headache and feeling unwell. And as soon as he'd come in the door and get a cuddle from me and a bit of comfort, he'd be right as rain again. And because, you know, it was quite obviously not a physical symptom whenever we were seeing that sort of a turnaround in him. And we didn't bring him to the doctor for a good while, like I said, until I connected it to type 1 diabetes and thought there might have been a side effect of type 1 diabetes, and I brought him to the nurse. And panic attacks. So panic attacks can be mistaken for temper tantrums, which can lead parents to unknowingly isolate the child in their time of need. So even just if you look at this picture of this little boy here, and generally as well, we can say with a younger child, a parent might not, you know, discipline a temper tantrum and might be more inclined to be like, oh, my baby, you know, and cuddle them. But certainly as the child begins to get older, you think, oh, they're too big for that behavior. They shouldn't be behaving like that. And it can lead to a parent feeling they need to put some sort of boundaries or restrictions or whatever on that behavior. Because it can just look like wild, out of control behavior. Like I said, it can turn into aggressive outbursts where they're banging on the door. It can be like this little boy here screaming no and putting his hand out and not wanting you to do whatever you're going to do there, you know. And just this kind of fear, this sort of out of control fear. So just to be mindful that sometimes it can be a panic attack and what's happening for your child. And hallucinations. So I was reading this book. It's called Suicide by Security Blanket, and it's written by two authors. Actually, one of the authors is this lady here, Laura Prager, Dr. Laura Prager, and it's a book about psychiatry and about different psychiatric issues that were presenting in children in the ER. So the children are going to the ER. And this just struck me. So about hallucinations. So the beginning of this, before this quote, is about, she was just talking about like schizophrenia and like hallucinations with that. But then she goes on to say little kids who say they are hearing things or seeing things, for example, may or may not be doing that. They may be a manifestation of anxiety. And this is the way the child expresses it. So I thought that was very interesting and just a point to note. So if your child is experiencing one or more of these symptoms, contact your GP. But in the meantime, these are the things that improved the situation in our home. So the first one is increasing one-on-one time. So this doesn't necessarily have to mean that you go out of your way to have like a mommy, son or daughter date as such. You know, it doesn't mean that you have to really separate from the younger children either, or the other children in your home. It can simply be something like, an example in our home is my son loves playing Lego, and he's usually upstairs in his room playing Lego on his own. And before I really became aware of just the anxiety and trying to keep it at bay and trying to keep everything balanced, I would let him play upstairs for as long as he wanted to, because he seems quite happy playing alone, so he kind of likes alone time. So I was leaving him to it. But then I became aware of this, and it's a good idea to increase your one-on-one time. So now, you know, if my other two are playing happily, I'll just take a cup of coffee and go up and chat to him while he's playing upstairs, just to increase that one-on-one time, just to fit it in more often every day. And the reason I use this picture again is because you can see here that they're doing an activity like coloring, which oftentimes wouldn't necessarily mean that you'd be physically touching your child, but physical touch is so important and can be really, really helpful in dealing with anxiety in your home. And just in this picture, the mom is kind of cuddling her little one as they color together. So that's nice. So as well as increasing one-on-one time, increase physical contact. The next one is grounding. So that might sound like a punishment, but that's not the way I mean it. Direct contact with nature, being barefoot and putting your hands into the earth has been proven to lower cortisol, which is the hormone that is produced in the body as in response to stress. And so obviously lowering cortisol for a child who is experiencing anxiety is very important. So as in my video, Screen Time, Green Time, I'm talking about banning phones and handheld devices and kind of electronic equipment, and turning off the TV and spending more time in nature, more time barefoot. Okay, in Ireland, that's probably not going to be too easy, but you might be aware of that quote as well that says, there's no bad weather, only inappropriate clothing. I'm not sure who said it, but that's a quote as well. And that's true. So you can wrap up warm and can literally play in the mud, put your hands into the mud, you know, and it can be extremely beneficial. Go to the beach and take off your shoes and walk on the sand barefoot, and it just grounds you and kind of connects you back with the earth. And like I said, it's been proven to lower cortisol. And the next one is practice mindfulness and meditation. So while that's quite easy for me to say because I'm a mindfulness practitioner, and so it wasn't really it was quite easy for me to teach mindfulness to my children. For a parent who hasn't any experience in mindfulness or hasn't been practicing it themselves, I am also offering at the moment physical classes. If you're not in that area, with parents of young children, of toddlers and babies, and just to show them how that they can bring mindfulness into their home while their children are present. You know, that you don't need to separate from your child to have that like quiet space to really enter into meditation, but that you can do it right there and then with the kids around you. It's absolutely possible, and I do it every day, so I know for sure it's possible. But there's also going to be a kids class, which is going to be coming up soon. It's going to be run on Saturdays, and that's going to be to help teach older children directly mindfulness practices. And I also ask that the parents attend so that they can continue practicing at home, because that's really important. And if you're not living locally, there's going to be an online course in the very near future, I'm hoping by the end of October. So focused breathing, it increases the blood flow, slows the heart rate, provides a sense of calm and peace and balance, and helps to control your thoughts. So yeah, so that's your reason behind practicing mindfulness and meditation with a child who's suffering from anxiety, or if you're suffering from anxiety yourself. The next thing is probably one of the things that we saw had the biggest impact and was the best for us. So this is EFT, and I'm going to go back here and I'm going to make this screen bigger because there's quite a bit of writing on this, and just so that you can read that screen a bit better. Okay. So hopefully you can see that now like that. Just let me know in the comments if you can see that right. So this is EFT, which is the emotional freedom technique. And if you want to know a bit more about this, I did a Facebook Live with Gary Craig, who's actually the founder of EFT a good while ago now, and it's on my YouTube channel. So if you just Google Intune Parenting or put into the YouTube search bar Intune Parenting, it should come up for you, okay? And so I have here just pointed out a little picture here. So this is the amygdala, and this is where the fight or flight response comes from. And whenever this is activated, the prefrontal cortex, you know, that's the part that has all the logical thinking and all that, it gets like cut off. And so you're not able to think logically whenever you're in fight or flight response. And thinking and worrying activates the fight or flight response, okay? And so tapping can be extremely helpful, because the input of the kinetic energy into on the meridians decreases the arousal of the amygdala, which releases the emotional blocks and restores the balance in the body. And so tapping, right? So this is the areas. I'm actually going to come back on now so I can show you this properly. So the areas, you can see it is in the corner of your screen now, hopefully, if I switch this over. Okay, so did that work? Yeah, okay. So these are the different points. So we start off with the karate chop point, which is here on your hand, okay? And this is where you just kind of set the intention. And so you're teaching this to your child. You teach your child how to do this. And my own son, all my children actually do this before sleep as well. It also helps the body just to kind of process what's happened in the day and to calm down for sleep too. So, I mean, it can be applied to any number of things. So for anxiety, for example, you start off here and you just kind of set an intention. So you can say, I'm feeling really anxious right now, but I choose to let that go. I'm going to relax. And then you always end it with like kind of a positive affirmation. So the one Gary Craig always says is, I love and fully accept myself right now. But one that my kids love to say is just, I'm awesome. Okay, so you can say, I'm feeling very anxious right now. I choose to let that go and relax, and I'm awesome. And so you start just here, you're just tapping that. And there's a lot of schools of thought out there around EFT. A lot of people have done EFT and are teaching EFT. And they say to do it about 3 times or different amounts of times that you need to repeat that while pointing here, tapping here on the karate chop. But Gary Craig himself has said only once is necessary. So we need to do it once. Okay. And then next spot is here on the top of your head. And while tapping here, we're going to do the very first round. And the very first round is just recognizing the anxiety in your body. So you just say, even though I'm feeling very anxious, I'm feeling really anxious now, this anxious feeling this scared feeling, this uncomfortable feeling, and just allow your child to vocalize this whatever way they want. And if they're unable to vocalize it, then you can substitute for them. You can give them an idea of some words, you know. So just feeling really anxious. I'm feeling anxious now. And then in the next round, we're going to do how we're going to feel better. So I'm going to let that go now. I'm just going to let go of that anxious feeling. I'm going to feel calm now, letting it all go, going to relax, going to feel better now. I'm feeling better now. I'm feeling better now. Feeling relaxed. And then the last one, you're just going to tap in that affirmation of you're totally awesome. I'm awesome. I'm completely awesome. I'm a really great kid. I'm totally awesome. Really awesome kid. Really awesome kid. I'm awesome. I'm totally awesome. And then you just get them to do a deep breath. And the deep breath itself is really important. It releases all that energy. And from mindfulness, we know that deep breaths like that actually activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the body's natural calming response. So that's the end of our little slideshow. I'm going to come back now. That's just a big low heart. I'm going to come back now, just myself. So is it just me back on the screen now? Can you see that other one? Let's see if I do this, it might get that gone. Okay, should be just me now, yeah? So I hope you liked that little presentation. I hope that you found that good. If you have any questions about it or anything you want to say, we can continue the conversation in the comments, but I'm not going to hang around waiting on comments today. I'm just going to leave it at that because I know that the replay is valuable for people and people are watching the replay later if you didn't get to watch right now, okay? And I hope that it was helpful and I hope that you got something from it. So just let me know in the comments your thoughts, if there's any questions, and I'll reply to the comments, no problem. And have a really great weekend. Talk soon.